5 AI tools, the exact stack I would build if I were starting a restoration company from scratch in 2026. Not theory, not apps I've read about online, but tools I've looked at seriously and some that we've implemented into our own company that solve real problems restoration contractors actually have. And I'm going to be just as honest about what each one doesn't do as I am about what it does, because that honesty is the entire point. I'll tell you what each tool costs, the specific situation where it pays for itself fastest, and how these 5 tools connect into a stack that gives a 15-person crew the operational capability most companies think requires a 40-person team. 5 tools, 1 episode. By the end, you'll know exactly what to download first. So let's build your tech stack. Welcome back to AI on the Job. I'm Tyler Janelle, Chief Operating Officer at JobDocs and Vice President of Revenue at Mr. Restore. Today is the most practical episode we've done so far because it answers the question that I get asked more than any other. What tools should I actually be using? Before I walk through the 5, I want to frame how to think about a tech stack because most contractors approach this poorly and it leads to either spending money on tools that don't connect to anything or getting overwhelmed and not moving forward with any tools at all. The wrong approach is evaluating tools in isolation. The right approach is thinking about what your operation actually needs to function at a high level. A way to document everything that happens on a job. A way to communicate professionally without it consuming your day. A way to capture every inbound lead, especially after hours. A complete operational platform where the business actually runs, and smart scheduling so your crews are always in the right place. 5 functional needs, 5 tools. The reason the stack matters is that when these pieces are connected, information flows automatically from the field through your operations hub and out to your billing staff, rather than requiring a human to carry it manually between 4 systems. C&R Magazine described 2026 as the year AI becomes the invisible operating system of restoration. That's what this stack looks like when it's built right. So let's build it. Documentation in restoration is not a nice to have. It is directly tied to how fast you get paid and how often carriers dispute your scope. The difference between a claim backed by systematic, organized photo documentation and one backed by a camera roll of unorganized photos can be days or weeks of payment delay and a much higher rate of disputes. I'm going to talk about the category of photo documentation tools and one specific option worth knowing about, because getting this right is one of the simpler operational improvements most restoration companies can take. The photo documentation category is worth understanding before I name a specific tool, because a few platforms now have documentation features built in natively, meaning you may already have something usable in your current software. What you're looking for in any documentation tool: photos that automatically attribute to the right job without sorting. GPS and timestamp data attached to every image for claim defensibility. The ability for multiple crew members to contribute to the same job record simultaneously, and organized before and after records that show the scope and progression of work clearly. Company Cam is the most widely used standalone option in the restoration space, and it does those things well. Photos organized by job automatically, GPS tagged and timestamped. The AI Notes feature, and this is the one most contractors don't know about, even if they're already on the platform, takes your job site photos and converts them into structured inspection reports automatically. You take photos during the walkthrough. The AI categorizes what it sees and generates a formatted report with damage observations organized by area. What used to take 30 to 45 minutes of manual report writing takes a photo walkthrough and a few minutes of review. That said, I want to be honest about the scope of this tool. Company Cam is a documentation tool. It organizes and reports on what happened on site. It doesn't touch job costing, billing, automations, or really any of the operational intelligence that drives your margins. It does one thing, and it does it very, very well. For operations that want best-in-class photo management as a standalone layer, it's a solid choice. For operations that are evaluating a full platform replacement, well, check whether your new platform has documentation built in natively before paying for a standalone separate option. The right protocol for any photo documentation tool, whether that's Company Cam or otherwise, systematic photos at a specific moment in every job. Damage discovery photos before work starts. Wide shot, mid shot, close up of each area. Progress photos at phase transition. Completion photos that mirror the discovery shots in position and framing. Equipment placement photos in and out. That systematic approach is what builds the documentation record that protects you in a dispute and accelerates payment. The tool amplifies the discipline. It doesn't replace it. Company Cam plans start around $49 per month. Check companycam.com for current pricing. It's best for operations that want a dedicated, best-in-class photo documentation tool. It's particularly valuable if you work with insurance carriers regularly and need a clean, professional documentation record. Honest limitations. Documentation only. It does not do job costing, operations intelligence, billing, or communication. If your primary operational platform already has solid photo storage built in, evaluate whether a standalone documentation tool is additive or redundant. How long does it take you or your office manager to write a professional letter to an insurance adjuster disputing a line item? If you're writing it from scratch, finding the right tone, structuring the arguments, making it sound like you know what you're talking about, and not just complaining, that's 30 to 45 minutes of careful work. I'm going to show you how to produce the same letter in 60 seconds. Not a template, a fully customized, professionally written letter for your specific situation, every time, on demand. And that's just one of 4 restoration-specific use cases I'm going to walk through. ChatGPT. I know you've heard of it, and most contractors I talk to have either tried it briefly and moved on, or they're using it for comfortable tasks rather than the ones where it saves the most time. Let me walk through the 4 restoration-specific use cases where it genuinely earns its keep. Use case number 1. Insurance correspondence. This is the single highest ROI use case for ChatGPT in a restoration operation. Describe your disputed claim situation, the scope of work, the adjuster's objection, the documentation you have, what you're trying to accomplish, and ask it to draft a professional, well-structured letter to the adjuster. 60 seconds. A fully written, well-organized letter that would have taken 30 to 45 minutes to produce manually. The key to making this work: give it specific context, not a vague request. The situation, the line items in dispute, the reason the scope is warranted, the documentation you're attaching. The more specific you are, the more useful the output. Treat the first draft as a draft. Adjust anything that doesn't match your situation, and send a version you reviewed. ChatGPT gets you 80% there in 60 seconds. You close the last 20% in 5 minutes. That's a 35-minute time saving on every letter. Use case number 2. Customer updates at scale. Build a master prompt that describes your company's tone and the situation for this specific job. So write a professional, reassuring customer update for a residential water damage client. Drying equipment has been on site 3 days. Moisture readings are trending in the right direction. We expect to move demo up 2 days. Confident and empathetic tone. Under 150 words. It gives you an output in 15 seconds. Minor adjustments in another 30. That's a 4-minute process instead of 10. And the quality is consistently higher than what a rushed office coordinator produces with 7 other things on his or her plate. Use case number 3. Employee documentation. Job descriptions, HR policies, training materials, safety protocols. Document every operation needs that most small contractors don't have in written form and that take significant time to produce from scratch. ChatGPT drafts them in minutes. You review and adjust. Over 6 months, you can build a complete documentation library. Written job descriptions for every role, an employee handbook, onboarding checklists for new crew members that makes your operation look and run like a company twice your size. Use case number 4. Estimating scope descriptions. For any job where a client or adjuster is going to scrutinize the written scope, large commercial losses, complex multi-phase restoration, anything with a complicated claim, give ChatGPT the job parameters and ask it to write a clear, professional scope description. Damage category, affected areas, phases of work, key materials and equipment. It organizes the information in logical sequence, uses professional terminology consistently, and produces something that you can put in front of an adjuster with confidence. First draft in 30 seconds, your adjustments in 5 minutes. Cost $20 a month for ChatGPT Plus. Worth it for daily use. The free tier works for occasional use. This tool's best for insurance correspondence and customer communication. So start there. The other use cases follow naturally once you're in the habit. But here's the honest limitation. ChatGPT doesn't know your business unless you tell it. No memory of your previous conversations, no access to your job data, no connection to your operation. It writes extraordinarily well. It does not run your business. Don't confuse writing capability with operational intelligence. They are completely different things. Okay, it's 10:47 p.m. on a Saturday. A homeowner has 3 inches of water in their basement. They're standing there in the dark, panicking, calling restoration companies. Whoever answers that call, whoever responds to that person right now, in that moment, gets the job. That job is probably 8 to 15,000 in emergency mitigation services, plus a potential reconstruction scope, plus a client who refers you to every neighbor and family member who has a loss in the next 2 years. The total value of that one call, when you trace the relationship out, could be anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 over the next 24 months. So here's the question I want you to actually answer. What happens to that call in your operation right now when you're not picking up the phone? Water loss doesn't call during business hours. Fire damage doesn't wait until Monday morning, and the research on emergency service calls is consistent. Callers who get voicemail convert at a fraction of the rate of callers who reach a live response. Some don't leave a message at all. Some leave a message and get called back by your competitor first. The job you didn't answer is often a job you don't get. Traditional answering services address this partially, but they're expensive, often $200 to $500 a month for 24/7 coverage, and they're impersonal. The person answering knows nothing about restoration. They can't answer basic questions about the process and comes across as a clearly scripted service. Callers in an emergency situation can tell the difference, and it affects their confidence in you before you've ever spoken to them directly. AI voice answering is a different category. An AI voice agent handles the incoming call, identifies itself as representing your company, collects the key information, so damage type, property location, urgency level, caller contact details, and either connects them immediately to your on-call person for emergency dispatch or schedules a callback at a confirmed time. The caller gets an immediate live response. The information gets captured accurately. The job doesn't go to a competitor because nobody answered. Research on AI voice handling for service businesses consistently shows 50 to 60% higher conversion on after-hours calls compared to voicemail, because immediate response versus delayed response is the entire difference for a caller with an urgent problem. Before adding a standalone voice tool, check what's already built into your current platform. Some job management systems have voice intake capability built in or integrated, and if you're already paying for it, there's no reason to pay for a second tool. If your current platform doesn't have it, Smith.ai and Numa are both solid standalone options for restoration operations with customizable intake flows. What you want the agent capturing: damage type and category, property address, whether the situation requires same-night dispatch, homeowner contact information, and whether a claim has been started with a carrier. That intake information, captured accurately at 11 p.m., is what allows your on-call person to triage intelligently rather than calling back cold with no context. Cost: Smith.ai starts around $30 to $50 a month for basic call handling. You need to check their current pricing as this market is moving quickly. These tools are best for any restoration company receiving more than 5 to 10 after-hours calls per month. One captured job that would have gone to voicemail pays for a year of that service. Here's the honest limitation. This works well for intake and triage. It does not work well for complex consultation. If a caller has detailed questions about the restoration process or coverage disputes, you want a human on that call. The goal is capture, not expertise. 3 tools into this list, and I still haven't talked about where the basic business actually runs, where the jobs live, where the money gets tracked, where your crew's time gets logged, your documents get signed, your customers get texted, your moisture readings get recorded, your WIP reports get generated, your referrals get tracked, your payments get collected. Most restoration contractors have all of that spread across 5 or 6 different systems, and they're paying for all of them separately, and none of them talk to each other cleanly. I'm about to describe to you what it looks like when it's all in one place. Full disclosure up front. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at JobDocs. I'm also Vice President of Revenue at Mr. Restore, which means I've seen these operational gaps from both sides, building the software and running a restoration operation day to day. I wouldn't put JobDocs on this list if it didn't belong here. And I want to be genuinely complete about what it does, because I think most contractors who've heard of it associate it primarily with job costing. And that's only a fraction of the picture. Core: real-time operations intelligence. The job costing capability is real and it's foundational. It watches every active job continuously, compares actual costs to your estimate in real time, and flags when something is heading toward a budget problem before it's too late to correct it. That's the GPS we talked about in episode 4. But that's the starting point, not the whole story. Job management and workflow automation. When a new job comes in, JobDocs generates the task list for that type of job automatically. The right tasks in the right sequence, assigned to the right roles and staff within your company, with dependencies built in so nothing gets started before its prerequisite is done. When a phase is marked complete, the next phase triggers automatically. Crew leads get notified. Materials for the next phase get flagged for ordering. Customer updates go out. None of that requires a human to remember to do it. You build the automation once for each job type, and the system runs it on every job of that type forever. That's the operational leverage most small and mid-sized restoration companies have never had access to before. Complete financial operations. Job costing is one layer of the financial picture, but JobDocs also handles payment collection directly. Clients can pay through the platform, and payments flow into the job record automatically. Employee timesheets are built in, so crew members log their time job specifically throughout the platform, feeding both the payroll process and the real-time job cost data simultaneously. You're not managing timesheets in one system and then billing in another and then job costing in a third. It's all in one place, and it all talks to each other. Document management and signing. Remote document signing is built in natively. Work authorization forms, change orders, scope agreements. Anything that requires a client signature can be sent directly from the job record and signed digitally by text or email. The signed document attaches to the job file automatically. No separate DocuSign subscription, no emailing PDFs back and forth. The document gets signed, it lives on the job, done. And because JobDocs has unlimited media storage, every document, every photo, every moisture log, every insurance correspondence for every single job lives permanently in the platform on that specific job without storage limits or extra cost. Moisture mapping and drying logs. This one matters specifically for restoration, and it's where generic project management tools always fall short. JobDocs has moisture mapping and drying log functionality built in. Your techs record readings by location, the system tracks them over time, and the drying documentation that insurance carriers require is generated from the actual data rather than being compiled manually after the fact. That documentation lives on the job record, available for the adjuster whenever they ask for it. Complete and professional and tied to the specific job. Reporting that actually tells you something. Work in progress reports, period-specific financial reports, referral source reports that show you which referral relationships are most profitable and are actually driving revenue, and which ones look good on the top line but cost you margin when you dig into the job level data. These are the reports that operations managers at large restoration companies build manually in Excel every single month. In JobDocs, they generate from the data that's already in the system, the same data your crew is entering for day-to-day job management. No separate compilation step, no Sunday afternoon spent pulling numbers together. The reports run from the live data. All customer communication, so text messages, emails, and call recordings live in JobDocs natively, attached to the job record. Every text your project manager sends to the homeowner on Job 27 lives on Job 27's record. Every email, every call, recorded and stored. When a dispute arises about what was said or what was agreed to, you have the complete communication record, all compiled in one place, connected to that job, not scattered across personal cell phones and email inboxes. That's not just operationally convenient, it's liability protection. Here's why this matters for the stack. Every other tool in the stack can feed into JobDocs. A lead captured by your AI voice agent flows in as a new job record with the intake information pre-populated. Photos from Company Cam attached to the job record. ChatGPT correspondence gets filed on the client. The stack concept only works if there's a central place where everything lives, and that's what JobDocs is built to be. Not another tool to manage, the operating system the business runs on. Cost. Right now we're at $50 per user per month, with a $1,000 white glove onboarding, which means the JobDocs team configures the full system for your operation, including workflow templates, automation setup, and crew training. This is best for restoration and field service operations that want to run the entire business from one platform. Job costing, automations, payments, timesheets, document signing, moisture logs, reporting, and all customer communication in one place. Honest limitation. The platform is as good as the data going in. If your crew isn't logging time and updating job status, the intelligence layer has nothing to work with. There's a ramp-up period while the team builds the habits. The onboarding is designed to make that as short as possible. Feel free to trial it at job-doc. Here's how scheduling breaks down in a growing restoration operation. 2 crews. You hold it all in your head, no problem. 4 crews. Well, you need a whiteboard, but you can manage it. 6 crews and 15 active jobs. A single job running 2 days long on Tuesday creates a cascade of conflicts that takes someone 2 hours to manually reroute. Multiply that by every schedule disruption in a busy week, and you have a person spending 20% of their time moving names around a calendar and notifying clients about changes that didn't have to be surprises. I'm going to tell you what it looks like when the schedule updates itself. Traditional scheduling is a logic problem that gets harder as crew count increases. At 6 or more crews running simultaneously, the variables, who's available, certifications required, equipment location, drive time, job phase status, multiply faster than any human can track comfortably. A job running long on Tuesday cascades to everything that crew was scheduled to do for the rest of the week. Manual schedule management at this scale means either someone is spending real hours chasing the updates, or a schedule that progressively diverges from reality and creates crew conflicts and client expectation mismatches that nobody planned for. AI scheduling takes availability, skill requirements, certification requirements, drive time, job phase status, and equipment location, and optimizes them simultaneously. When job 19 flags as running 2 days behind, the system surfaces the downstream impact immediately. This crew was scheduled to start job 25 on Thursday. Here are the options. The project manager sees the conflict before it becomes a problem, makes the decision proactively. And the client for job 25 gets updated before they're at home waiting on a crew that isn't going to show up. That's not just operational efficiency. That's the client experience that drives reviews and referrals. Check your current platform before adding a standalone tool. Specifically, before buying a standalone AI scheduling tool, look at what's already built into your platform. JobDocs has scheduling built in for restoration workflows. If you're running the platform, you have scheduling capability already. A few of our competitors have other ones as well. Housecall Pro has a scheduling AI feature worth configuring if you're already on that platform, and native integration is almost always cleaner than a third-party connection. Every additional integration is another thing to maintain and another potential point of failure. Check what you're already paying for before adding a second subscription. A standalone AI scheduling tool earns its cost in 2 situations. Your current platform scheduling capability is genuinely weak, a basic calendar rather than an intelligent dispatch system, or you're running 6 or more crews simultaneously with high variability in job duration and frequent schedule changes. Below that threshold, the ROI is marginal. Above it, and the time savings on schedule management and the reduction in crew conflicts can be meaningful enough to justify an additional layer. Cost varies significantly by platform. Check what's already included in your current subscription before committing to standalone. AI scheduling is best for operations running 6 or more crews simultaneously with high schedule variability and frequent job duration changes. But here's the honest limitation. It's only as good as the real-time job status going in. If job phase status isn't being updated as things actually happen, well, then the scheduling system is working from a stale picture and its optimizations will be off. Data discipline always comes first. Let me bring all 5 tools together because the whole point of framing this as a stack is to show how they connect. So here's the flow from first call to final invoice. A new loss call comes in at 10:47 p.m. Your AI voice agent answers it, captures the damage type, address, and caller information, and creates a new job record in JobDocs automatically. The next morning, the project manager sees the new job with all of the intake information already populated. She assigns a crew. The scheduling system surfaces any conflicts with that crew's existing jobs, and the assignment goes through cleanly. The crew arrives on site. Photos document the damage systematically, using Company Cam as a standalone layer or the media storage built into JobDocs, and the records attached to the job. Crew members log time job specifically through JobDocs, feeding both the payroll system and the real-time job cost data simultaneously. Moisture readings get recorded in the drying log, building the documentation record that the carrier will ask for. The change order for the additional moisture gets created and sent for digital signature through JobDocs natively. The client gets a status update via JobDocs' native text messaging. The message lives on the job record automatically. The office coordinator uses ChatGPT to draft the response to the adjuster's supplement dispute and files it on the job. Billing readiness runs before the invoice finalizes. The invoice goes out for billing for everything that was actually done. The referral source for this job gets credited automatically, so the referral report stays current. That's not 5 separate systems requiring 5 separate logins. That's one operating system with a couple of specialized tools plugged in at the edges. When it's built right, the stack recedes into the background, and what you're left with is a business that runs with more visibility, more accuracy, and less administrative drag than you thought was possible at your size. 5 tools. Photo documentation to build a claim record that gets you paid faster. ChatGPT to produce professional written communication in minutes instead of hours. AI voice answering so you never miss the midnight call that goes to your competitor if it hits voicemail. JobDocs as the operating system where the whole business runs. Jobs, costing, automations, payments, timesheets, documents, moisture logs, reports, and every customer conversation in one place. And AI scheduling so your crews are optimally deployed and conflicts surface before they become client problems. Here's how to prioritize if you're not sure where to start. Where's your biggest gap right now? Losing jobs because you're not answering after hours? Start with tool 3. Losing revenue to underbilling and missed change orders, or running the business across 5 different systems that don't talk to each other? Well, start with tool 4 and make it the foundation. Spending too much time on written communication? Start with tool 2. Pick the gap that costs you the most right now. Get one tool running well, then add the next layer. Next episode, why your current software might actually be working against you. There are 2 eras of contractor software. Platforms built to store data and platforms built to reason about it. Most restoration companies are running Era 1 software in an Era 2 world. And I'm going to put a real number on what that costs you behind the invoice price. I'm Tyler Janelle. This is AI on the Job, and I'll see you Wednesday.